Namaste, this is Abhinav from Lighthouse Souls. I welcome you. Today I am covering my learnings from this book by Thich Nhat Hanh, The Miracle of Mindfulness. In this video and in this podcast, I'll be covering the chapter 4, The Pebble. Just before proceeding forward, this video is also available as a podcast on Spotify. So if you prefer a kind of a distraction-free listening experience, then you can check out the podcast, which is available on Spotify by the name Lighthouse Souls. Another thing is that I have a Facebook group, dedicated mindfulness Facebook group. So if you're interested in mindfulness, you can subscribe. You can join that Facebook group. The link is there in the description. Okay, now I'm starting. So Thai basically says, why should you meditate? Right? This is the fundamental question. Why should anyone meditate? So Thai says that everyone should meditate because each one of us needs to realize total rest, right? Even a night of sleep doesn't provide total rest, right? So Thai basically says that even when we are sleeping, our body and our mind does not get proper rest. So meditation is where consciously we are relaxing ourselves and we get the relaxation which a sleep cannot provide us, right? At the same time, what I will say is that sleep is also essential. It is not that if you meditate then you can compromise on sleep, because when you sleep there are certain bodily repairing and everything, healing and everything that happens. But yes, mindfulness offers a very different kind of a rest which sleep cannot provide, right? So Thai says that lying on your back with your arms and legs straight but not stiff. Thai says that for a beginner you can also lie on your back and do. It's not necessarily that you need to sleep. However, Thai says that it is easier to fall asleep, right? So some people, they cannot sit. For them, they can lie down. But the only risk in lying down and meditating is that you can fall asleep, because in that position the body is more prone to falling asleep. So that's why Thai says you cannot go as far in meditation lying down as by sitting. That means if you want to really progress in meditation, you should explore sitting. Now, sitting, you can explore either. You can, like what I do is that I cannot sit without support for a long time. So I always take support of, some kind of a cushion or something. There are meditation chairs that are available. So you can try that. But sitting is a better option, right? Now Thai basically in this chapter he just gives certain guidelines as to how to sit and all. So that I will suggest that you can read this book to get, because going to that detail, because I cannot demonstrate that to you in this video or in this podcast. So maybe you can go through what basically Thai says. And what I have from my research, when we sit, below our hips, when we sit cross-legged, below our hips you can put a kind of a there is a small cushion that just lifts you up, right? And then so it's like it creates a triangle. You are kind of lifted, there is a cushion and you are there, and then there is a your 2 feet are there. So that is a much better position as compared to the normal position that we sit. That's better for our back also, lower back also. So that is a position you can try. You can see certain zazen related videos, zazen posture related videos on YouTube, to get a demonstration on how to do that. Because what I see in monasteries, in Plum Village and other monasteries, they have kind of a cushion that they put below their hips and then they sit. So that's a better way to practice. Then there are actually other Burmese position and all those positions are there, which everyone can decide as per their convenience what they want. Otherwise, if you cannot sit cross-legged, best is you can maybe sit on a chair. Important thing what Thai says, keep your back straight, right? So if you're sitting on a chair, either you put a cushion and you keep your back straight, or you can maybe come a bit forward, right? You just not lean with the on the chair. So you can just keep that awareness that my back should be straight, right? Neck and head should be aligned with the spinal column. They should be straight but not stiff or wood-like. Keep your eyes. Now, eyes, when you meditate, what basically Thai says, that keep your eyes focused a yard or two in front of you, right? A yard or two, you can just focus on the front of you, maybe on the ground, and What one more thing is that you can keep your eyes, not necessarily you keep your eyes closed, right? You can keep your eyes half open, like a Buddha. If you see a Buddha statue, his eyes are like half closed, and let them get closed naturally, right? If you are very this thing to keep the eyes closed, then that can also exert pressure on our eye muscles. So we just keep half closed. And one more thing what Thai says is make a half smile, right? Like you see on Buddha's how Buddha used to do, a half smile, right? That half smile, what it does is that all the facial muscles start relaxing, and you automatically enter into a zone of relaxation, right? So that is like some small changes you can do, right? Okay. Huh. Now place your left hand palm side up in your right palm. So this is like basically, if you see, this is the cosmic mudra. So if you are seeing this as a video, I'm just showing. This is my left hand. I'm putting it in my right hand, and I sit like this. So either you can sit like this, or you can join both of your hands, join both of your thumbs. This basically becomes a cosmic mudra, right? This is practiced in various traditions, and so I basically use sit like this. So in between, like when I put my hands like this, I put a small cushion in front of me so that they support my hands, right? So sorry, I'm not able to actually demonstrate. Maybe I will do a separate video in which I will demonstrate the meditation position, but I hope you get some idea through this. Now, Thai says that for beginners, it is better to sit no longer than 20 to 30 minutes, right? So don't try to sit for a lot of time. Just focus on like 20 to 30 minutes. That is enough. During that time, you can readily obtain total rest. What basically Thai says is that do think two things: watching and letting go. Just watch your breath and let go of everything else, right? Watching the breath, which is like you can bring your focus, you can bring your attention to your abdomen, the expansion and contraction that is happening, and you can let go of everything else, release every muscle after about 15 minutes. And that is what I always say, is that when you start meditation, it is not very easy to just go down deep into meditation. Very rarely it happens. Generally it takes 5, 10, 15 minutes. Generally 15 minutes it takes for you to achieve that depth, right? So your meditation, you can target like 30 minutes meditation, where first 10, 15 minutes is to quieten the mind, right? The quieten the mind, collect the mind, and then you can go deep, right? So the last 10, 15 minutes is where you really are able to go deep. uh, Thai says if you sit correctly, it is possible to find total relaxation and peace right in the position of the sitting. Now here Thai says about the image of a pebble. This chapter is named Pebble, so you might be confused what is pebble. So Thai basically says here is that you sit in whatever position, you can just imagine that you are a pebble. So what happens is that if you throw a pebble in water, what happens is in a sea, you throw a pebble. The pebble will find the shortest route to the seabed, right? It will not go here and there. It will find the shortest route and go into the seabed. So when we can sit as if we can imagine ourselves as a pebble. That pebble is going down, 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 down. It's like totally we just let go of everything and think that we are a pebble, and it is going down, down, down. And then at one time, where we are in that deep state, it's like we can imagine ourselves as a pebble which is resting on the seabed. It has nothing to do. It has just gone down and reached in the on the seabed, and it is lying on the seabed. So that is one way where you can actually reach that deep state, right? Just think of yourself as a pebble, and no support. It doesn't have any support. It's just flowing down and down. I'm just reading the whole thing. The pebble sinks through the water effortlessly, detached from everything. It falls by the shortest distance possible, finally reaching the bottom, the point of perfect rest. You are that pebble which lets itself fall to the river, letting go of everything. At the center of your being is your breath. You don't need to know the length of time it takes before reaching the point of complete rest on the bed of fine sand beneath the water. When you feel yourself resting like a pebble which has reached the riverbed, this is the point when you begin to find your own rest. You are no longer pushed or pulled by anything, right? So I think that is somewhere it can help, that Try it and see it for yourself, right? Okay, next Thai says that if you cannot find joy in peace in these very moments of sitting, then the future itself will only flow by as a river flows by. You will not be able to hold it back. So if you're not able to find, so that's what we need to do, is that we need to train ourselves to find peace in these moments of sitting, because only when we are able to find peace in these moments will we be able to find peace anywhere else. If we cannot find peace here and in the here and now, when we sit, we will not be able to find peace in any other condition or any other future moment of our life. Now, Thai says that this, when you meditate, this is your time. This, as in the previous chapter, I talked about Thai's knowledge is that when you sit, just sit that it is the Bodhi spot. This is the spot where Buddha got enlightened, and countless Buddhas got enlightened sitting at this spot. Sit with that sacredness. It is on this very spot and in this very moment that you can become enlightened. You don't have to sit beneath a special tree in a distant land. Practice like this for a few months and you will begin to know a profound and renewing delight. Wonderful, right? Just practice for a few months and you'll find a lot of peace that will come to you. Now, on a practical note, Thai says that the ease of sitting, not everyone is very comfortable with sitting, and Thai says that the ease of sitting you will get, because there is lot of discomfort, lot of habit energies in us that will not let us sit, right? When we start sitting as a beginner, right? So the ease of sitting depends upon uh, whether you sit a little or a lot, whether you sit regularly. The more regular and consistent you are in your sitting practice, the more easier it will become, right? Now, Thai also says that wherever possible, join with friends or relatives and organize an hour of sitting each night, say from 10 to 11. Whoever wishes can come. So now, right now, we are in the times of COVID and all, so it might not be possible, but just keep this intention in mind that later on, see, we have the whole intention, like why I named my venture, this venture is Lighthouse Souls, is that we have to first become a lighthouse. We have to clear our own afflictions and become a lighthouse in our life, and then we have to be a lighthouse in our community, right? So it's not that I just practice my mindfulness and I just, that's also very good, but we have to go one step ahead. Like, I'm doing these videos, I'm trying to spread the message. You can also try to spread the message in your way. You can, do some kind of a mindful sitting at your home, where you can just ask people, whoever wants to come. We are doing this meditation session. The more people who join, the more group energy is there. Okay, you cannot do it in your home, there are restrictions. You can do online. You can set up a small community of like-minded people, and every week you can decide to sit for some time online together, right? Distances don't matter, but the group energy, this is the energy of the sangha that lifts everyone up. It's like in we what we say now, 1 plus 1 equals to 11. So that we can all do, right? Okay, mindfulness of the mind, right? Now here in this chapter there are few things which are like thoda sorry, which are a bit deep. So I will not be touching the entire thing here, because then it will not be very easy to understand for everyone. uh, and I am also learning that. I am also in the phase of learning. For example, interbeing and emptiness, these all concepts, these are all coming from the Lord Buddha's sutras, Satipatthana Sutra, and uh, other sutras, right? Discourse on emptiness. So this all will be a bit deep, so I don't want to touch upon that. Let's keep it very simple. What Thai says is that we have to practice mindfulness of the mind. See, what Thai says is, it is not mindfulness. Sorry, just a second. Just a second. It is not mindfulness of the. It is not mindfulness. It is mindfulness of something, like mindfulness of breath, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of thoughts, mindfulness of mind, mindfulness of walking, mindfulness of eating. Right. So it is mindfulness of. So Thai basically says that just it is not just enough to be mindful of the breath. being mindful of the breath is the first starting point for any beginner. Later on, as your mindfulness practice develops and solidifies, what you can do is that you can be mindful of the thoughts and feelings that are coming. So it is basically mindfulness of the mind in the mind, right? Again, so it's like a tongue twisting thing. Mindfulness of the mind in the mind, right? So we basically, the one who is observing is also the mind, the one who is being observed is also the mind. So there is no kind of a subject object kind of a relationship. It is the mind itself witnessing the mind. Again, so this is a deep topic. I will not go deep into it because then that will take another 1 hour to explain, and I myself am learning on this particular piece. So let us keep it simple. Thai says that if the practitioner knows his own mind, he will obtain results with little effort. But if he does not know anything about his own mind, all of his efforts will be wasted. So we have to consistently also be mindful of what all is going in me as I work and as I go through the whole day. If you want to know your own mind, there is only one way. So Thai says, agar if you want to know your mind, the only one way is to observe and recognize everything what is going on in you. Right now, Thai says that during meditation, various feelings and thoughts may arise. If you don't practice mindfulness of the breath, these thoughts will take away. Right. So the first thing what we need to do is to practice mindfulness of breath. Right. So decide on an anchor of breath and do the mindfulness so that the thoughts will not be able to lure you. But over time your practice should be so deep that you are also able to experience and recognize the various thoughts that are coming, right? Thai says that when a feeling or thought arises, your intention should not be to chase it away, even if by continuing to concentrate on the breath. What we have to do is that to just watch it arise and fall and keep our focus on our breath. It will slowly pass on. What again, I'll just say the quote of Shunryu Suzuki, Zen master Shunryu Suzuki. Let the thoughts enter from the front door and let them pass through the back door. Just don't serve them tea. So just observe them, they will automatically subside, right? Keep focus on your breath. Now, what exactly should you be doing concerning the thoughts and feelings? Thai says, simply acknowledge their presence. For example, when a feeling of sadness arises, immediately recognize it. A feeling of sadness has arisen in me. If there is a thought like it's late, but the neighbors are surely making a lot of noise, recognize that this thought has arisen. Don't go into judgment. Don't do anything else. Essential thing is not to let any feeling or thought arise without recognizing it in mindfulness. Right? So our task is we will not let any feeling or thought arise and go without us recognizing it. So we have to catch hold of that, recognize it, and then let it go. Right? And then just recognize and it will automatically subside. Right? This We are like a palace guard who is aware of every face that passes through the front corridor. Now, if there are no feelings or thoughts, there may be also a situation where you are very much at peace and there are no feelings and thoughts. Then also what Thai says that just recognize that at this time there are no feelings or thoughts present. Practicing like this is to become mindful of your feelings and thoughts. You will soon arrive at taking hold of your mind. Right? Okay. So this is basically you can combine mindfulness of breath as well as mindfulness of thoughts as you progress in your journey, in your meditation journey. Guard or the monkey's shadow here in this section, Thai basically tries to say is that when practicing mindfulness, don't be dominated by the distinction between good and evil, thus creating a battle within oneself. Right? So don't go into the judgment. This is a good thought that is coming up. This is a bad thought. No, every thought is a thought. Don't dwell on it or try to get rid of it, however much you don't like it. To acknowledge it is enough, right? So when you are meditating, see all these thoughts, they are all part of our store consciousness, our subconscious, and lot of these thoughts basically will come up, right? Because then you are not suppressing anything. So let them just come up. Let just acknowledge them. Don't go into judgment whether it because you'll also get wholesome thoughts. You'll also get bad thoughts. You'll also get lust can arise in you, anger can arise in you, and you might be thinking that why this is arising. And so you to just recognize that these all were lying in below. Now you are giving them an opportunity to arise and clear that energy. So just acknowledge without going into judgment. Once you have reached such an awareness, then there will be nothing. So Thai says, if you reach this kind of an awareness where, so again, it is what, if you what I've heard of Buddha's enlightenment story, right? When he was getting enlightened, then the devil had come, and then he first used his daughters to appease him, and appease Buddha. Then Buddha was not, he was just not at all bothered. So he just, demons came, and then there was rain and clouds and thunderstorms. So the essential thing is that everything will happen. It's We have to reach that level of awareness where we can acknowledge everything, and if we can acknowledge everything, then we will not have to fear anything else, anything in life, right? It's very deep. So, right. So what Thai says is that the image has a shortcoming. If you think that there's a guard who basically looks at who is entering and who is exiting. Basically, Thai says that there is no difference between the guard and the visitor. Actually, the guard and the visitor are the same, right? Our thoughts and feelings are us. They are not something which is apart from us, which is again coming back to the theory of Buddha's guidance teaching on interbeing. This is in that, that is in this, right? So I will not go much into that. Chasing away or dwelling on any thought isn't the important thing. The important thing is to be aware of the thought and not to objectify. The observation is not an objectification of the mind. It does not establish distinction between subject and object. Mind does not grab on the mind. Mind does not push mind away. Mind can only observe itself. This observation isn't an observation of some outside object and independent of the observer. That means mind is basically observing only itself. Okay. Now, Thai gives an analogy of a monkey. Mind is like a monkey swinging from branch to branch through the forest, says the sutra. In order not to lose sight of the monkey by some sudden movement, we must watch the monkey consistently, constantly, and even to be one with it. Right? This is what we need to do. Completely be watchful, not just you know not just get lost, right? Just keep watching. All the thoughts, all the feelings, the breath that is happening. Right? Now, a practical thing what Thai says is that in the first 6 months, try only to build up your power of concentration to create an inner calmness and serene joy. Right? You'll be refreshed and you'll gain a broader, clearer view of things, and you'll be able to respond more helpfully. So just focus on building up this power of concentration in the first 6 months by keeping attention on your breath, by consistently meditating. Right? Thai says sitting in meditation is nourishment for your spirit and nourishment for your body. Through sitting, our bodies obtain. So sitting is a very important practice in Buddhism. It's a very very important practice, and the monks, they have regular periods of sitting. uh, every day they sit for a certain time, right? So we are not monks in this life, at least, as right, but at least we can have our own sitting routine, sitting schedule. I will cover more in my further videos. uh, Once you're able to quiet your mind, feelings once you're able to quiet your mind, once your feelings and thoughts will no longer disturb you, at that point your mind will begin to dwell in the mind, right? True mind is our real self, is the Buddha, the pure oneness which cannot be cut up by the illusory divisions of separate selves created by concepts and language. But since Thai is very aware that he's like going at the deep end of the pool when he talks about interbeing and emptiness. So last thing that Thai says, but I don't want to say a lot about this because since it's a beginner book, Thai doesn't want to go into that domain. So I will also rest here. So this was the fourth chapter, the pebble. So I hope it had some insights. Do share your topmost insight. What one thing that you learned from this video or this podcast? Do share it in the comment section, and do join my Facebook group if you're interested more about mindfulness. I'll be posting a lot of stuff in the coming future in that group. So see the link that is down below and join that group, and looking forward to meet you in the next video where we will be covering chapter 5. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.